It's Been So Long, an Adrienette fanfiction, part 26. Happy birthday, Adrien, Marinette said with a bright smile, giving him a hug. She could not believe that he was already 16. They had met when they were 13, and now here they were, 3 years later. Marinette had the strangest feeling of life passing by far too quickly. Thank you, Adrien said gratefully. His face was a slight bit pink. Marinette handed him his gift. Oh no, it's okay, he said, pushing it back. Of course he'd be the one to refuse a birthday gift. Marinette shoved it back at him. It's your birthday, she said earnestly, but still Adrien wouldn't accept it. Back and forth they went for 5 more minutes than necessary. Oh my god, Alia cried. It's like the weirdest form of deja vu. I thought we were over this, yet your faces are still literal tomatoes, the brunette said. Adrien and Marinette stopped, and she ultimately shoved the gift in his arms. There, the black-haired girl said, brushing herself off. Now we can continue on, she said with a smile. It was Adrien's birthday, and of course, his father said a hard no to an actual party. And though it was probably morally wrong to lie to a parent, Marinette and Alia and Nino really wanted Adrien to have a birthday. So they proposed the idea of a group study activity, and thank goodness Mr. Agress rather liked Marinette, so he allowed Adrien to go without a bodyguard. The little birthday was just going to be a picnic where they would do not even an ounce of homework and just celebrate how Adrien was only 2 years from being a legal adult. Marinette had packed all of his favorite pastries that his model diet rarely allowed him to eat. Nino brought fun board games for him to play, and Alia, well, she was there as another guest and to secretly put on an Adrien birthday compilation video. As much as they hated the idea of excluding their extended friend group, too many people would seem skeptical, so they decided it was for the best that it would just stay as the 4 of them. Then again, was there a rule against strolling around in a nearby local park and then just happening to see your friends celebrating a birthday and decidedly coming to join the celebration? No, technically there was no rule against that. And whoever said that people couldn't bring random person-tailored gifts to a park for no reason? Yeah, that was also not a spoken rule. It was certainly a better idea than bringing friends into a house secretly and then for, say, someone else trying to break in with basically the worst codename in disguise ever. Good thing that had never happened, or maybe that would have been a complete disaster. I do kind of miss the old Marinette and Adrien, in the weirdest way possible. You two were such idiots, Alia sighed with a fond smile. Picking up a cookie and taking a bite, Marinette groaned and covered her face. Oh my goodness. No, we do not want the old Marinette back, she said, slightly muffled. A crazy crush-obsessed 13-year-old girl? Not ideal. She was much more mature now. Or at least she liked to think that. I guess I was kind of oblivious to all of the signs back then, Adrien hummed. His second croissant had disappeared in the matter of minutes, and quite honestly, no one judged him. He deserved some indulgence. Alia looked at him with an incredulous look, mouth agape and macro nearly dropping out of hand. You're kidding, right? There was no kinda oblivious. Marinette was freaking crazy about you, and yet your thick skull never even registered it, Alia said, playfully knocking Adrien on the skull. He pushed her hand away, laughing. I know that now, he said, trying to defend himself. Marinette, during all of this, was bright red and wanted to do nothing more than melt into the ground or get off this topic. She was not proud of that, obsessive year, to say the least. But admittedly, there were some things that she was actually proud of in maybe a twisted sense, but more in like, wow, how the heck did I pull that off? I am genuinely shocked, even now that that worked. That kind of way. Like the phone and the voicemail disaster. Marinette had literally all of the luck in the world because seriously, there was no way that should have worked. That was a complete disaster. That should not have worked. Okay, I get it. I had no self-control. Can we please stop exposing me and get off this topic? Marinette pleaded with her friends, but Alia paid her no mind. I so wish you had heard the voicemail that she had recorded, Alia said with a deadly troublemaking grin. Marinette's blue eyes went wide with shock. Oh no. No, she was not telling this story. Nope, no stories. I'm sure Adrien can figure them out by himself. Nope, we're good. No stories, Marinette said, shoving bread into her best friend's mouth to muffle the incriminating story from being told. Adrien looked at them confused, but she gave him a smile that said, yes, please just move along. Seriously, don't. I will literally melt. And you will have bread stuffed in your mouth forever, the black-haired girl whispered threateningly in her friend's ear. However, the bread threat was a little bit more comedic than mean. Alia swallowed the bread and began to die of laughter. As if that isn't my literal heaven, she said in between chuckles. Marinette let out a couple laughs of her own and a fond eye roll. Anyways, Adrien, any plans now that you're 16? Nino asked. His face was just as twisted in confusion watching the girls as Adrien was. The blonde thought for a moment before shaking his head. I don't know, he admitted. Nino let out a very surprised noise. Really? Not even a stand-up against the annoying old man? Like, nothing? You should tell him that you want a free weekend every month now. Like, dude, you're 16. If we lived in America, you could drive. Seems a little dangerous, Nino said, blown away by Adrien's passiveness. Though it should have been expected. Adrien shrugged. I don't know. Even if I did ask that, he'd probably say no and book me more photo shoots. Or worse, take me out of school for a week. Sometimes he gets in a mood and gets like really strict, and honestly, driving sounds fun. Like, I've driven a bus before, so I'm sure a car isn't that different, Adrien said with almost a tired sigh. Marinette looked at him sympathetically. That really sucks. We need to do this study time more often then, she said with determination in her eyes. Adrien smiled at her softly. Maybe. I hope he doesn't catch us, though, Adrien said lightly and looked more hopeful. Nino and Alia, though, were agape. Dude, that is literally so not okay, like, at all, Nino sputtered out. Adrien shrugged. It's fine. He's just strict. Nino, however, did not seem to be comforted by the sentence. Ollie, however, seemed to be lost and confused in a completely different sentence. You've driven a bus? She cried out. That even got Marinette's mind thinking. Yeah, when the heck would Adrien have driven a bus? The blonde almost went white. His eyebrows rose and eyes widened in something that looks like panic. In a video game, like a really, really long time ago. It was like a bus simulation game, like racing cars, but like buses. So like, technically yeah, because they made it really authentic. So like, technically yes, I've driven a bus, but like also no, Adrien explained, clearing up the confusion. His three friends were skeptical but let it go. Ollie pushed up her glasses and checked her phone, grinning widely as she did. Adrien, come look at this, Alia said, waving her hand for him to come over. He scooted over and leaned over her phone to see what she wanted to show him. It was a video. Alia pressed play. Hey, Adrien, he heard his friends and classmates cheer out together. When did they found this time to make this recording? Sorry we can't be there to celebrate with you, one of them called out. But we love you tons because you're such a great friend, another said. And we decided to make this video to show you how much you mean to us. The video transitioned to each individual telling a happy birthday and adding a little memory. By the end of the video, Adrien felt that his heart was so full it was about to burst. He truly had the best friends. So sorry we can't come to your party because, well, the party couldn't happen, Kim said, getting a jab in the side from Alex. So, we're coming to you now, Julika said with a triumphant smile. Adrien gasped. What? Surprise, Marinette said from next to Adrien. She looked so genuinely excited. As soon as he looked up, there was everyone, grinning ear from ear, gifts and arm. Oh my gosh, Adrien cried out, nearly ready to cry from joy. All of his friends were here, all of them. They were here to celebrate his birthday. Jumping up, the blonde gave every one of them a huge hug. He thanked them all profusely for doing such an act for him, and they all said they were happy to do so. He's like a cute little fluffy bunny, Ollie commented to Marinette as Adrien literally hopped around hugging people with vigor. Marinette giggled and took a sip of her water. Yeah, he is, she said fondly. Despite his father and his strict, was probably a mild term for it, parenting methods, Adrien had somehow ended up bright and kind-hearted. It was just a testament to his true character. He definitely is, Marinette replied. You have the best ideas, Mari, Alia said with a proud grin to her friend, and then stood up to greet their friends with Nino, as he had gotten up earlier. Marinette stayed on the little blanket, just happily observing the scene that she was so excited to just make real. And Adrien was beyond ecstatic, and it really warmed her heart. Eventually, she stood up. One of the more challenging guests to get along with had arrived. Chloe, of course, had to scream up, Adrikins, and ran up to him with more of an attack than a hug. Marinette took in a deep breath and plastered on a smile as the mayor's daughter's voice rose in pitch. Hey, Chloe, I'm glad you came, Adrien said, albeit trying to put more space between the two of them. Of course, Chloe said immediately. With a shy smile and the back of the head scratch, Adrien slowly slipped into the mass of their classmates as Chloe blabbered about the gift she'd gotten. You guys got Chloe to come? Adrien asked Marinette when he found her offering macaroons to their friends. Marinette gave him a tired smile but nodded. Yep, it didn't take a lot of convincing, but it did take a lot of time and patience and self-restraint, she explained. You mean me restraining you? Alia said in a sing-song voice as she passed by. Marinette blushed red. She really didn't want to think about how easily Chloe just made her crack this year. Okay, all your restraint, she admitted, but Adrien, however, just laughed it off. I can't believe you guys did this for me, Adrien said to Marinette, who just shrugged and told them that they wanted him to have a good birthday. It's amazing, he sighed, looking at the friends in front of him. I think most everyone is here, minus one, but I really hope she comes, Marinette said, looking out towards the streets. Who is it? Adrien asked very curiously. Marinette shook her head with a knowing smile. You'll see. It was perhaps an hour later, and everyone had started leaving, so when Adrien was being picked up, there wasn't a massive amounts of people that just happened to be his friends nearby. They all wished him a happy birthday and left, whether it be by bike, car, or by foot. About half the people had gone, leaving Alia, Marinette, Nino, Julika, Rose, Kim, Max, Chloe, Sabrina, Alex, and Ivan. Oh my god, she's finally here, Marinette said, incredibly relieved. Adrien looked to see who she was walking to and recognized a familiar car. He gasped and smiled widely. Goodness, his friends could really work some magic. Getting him out here and then this? Was there anything they couldn't do? Kagami, I'm so glad you came, Adrien said happily as the serious but nicely smiling girl approached him. Of course. I would not miss this opportunity for the world, Kagami said with a wider smile. The lessons with Marinette seemed to be working. She didn't look so serious all the time. I didn't want to leave out any of your friends, Marinette said, coming up on Adrien's other side. Yeah, that girl not only planned this, but got that to happen. She tracked out Kagami too, Alia cried out. Adrien's mouth dropped, not from actual surprise, but more as a reaction. He should have known this was all Marinette's doing. She always did this, helping him stay included in the group and stuff, even with his really strict father. She always made things happen for him and worked hard to help. Of course, she'd be the one to round up the least easiest person to contact in his friend group. Marinette was so amazing. It was unbelievable. Okay. Tracking down seems dramatic. I literally have her number, Marinette said, laughing and waving her phone, but hiding her face with a hand. Without a warning, Adrien gripped Marinette into a tight hug. The surprise made her freeze up, but after a second she hugged him back. Thank you. Just thank you so much. You made this happen. You're always making things happen, no matter how impossible they seem. I don't know how you keep doing this. It's like you've got something so special, he said, feeling his face heat up as he proclaimed all of this in front of over half of his class. He may have not been fully admitting his crush on her, but, saying stuff like that was still nerve-wracking enough, especially out of costume. Maybe Shot Noir would have been smoother. Somewhere, he could hear a camera shudder, but didn't even care about it. Of course, Marinette said, feeling her heart go wild and praying to God that he didn't. She noticed Alia grinning widely and the rest of her friends as happy as can be. I'm sure Marinette wasn't the only one to do this. Your other friends helped too, didn't they? Kagami's flat-toned voice broke through. Adrien released Marinette and proceeded to thank Nino and Alia, who just said that they helped and it was right to let Marinette take the credit. As much as she didn't like it and hid her face as they pointed to her. That is. Of course, everyone had a part, Marinette said brightly, feeling a little bit confused by Kagami's somehow stiffer stature and biting comment. Adrien, I would like to present you your gift, Kagami said, holding out a neatly wrapped present. He of course pushed it back as he had been doing all day. Kagami looked very confused and surprised. I believe it is customary to gift during the celebration. Am I wrong? She said gently and worriedly. Marinette smiled at her softly and patted her shoulder. You're getting it right, the other Asian girl explained. It's just some people have a hard time accepting gifts. Somewhere in the crowd, someone snorted loudly. And it was not a surprise that it turned out to be Chloe, who pushed everyone else aside to come up to Adrien. Please, Adrien doesn't want your lame gift. Just be happy that he's okay with you actually being here, she laughed to Kagami, whose eyes narrowed at the blonde girl. Chloe, I do like your gift. I just can't take it from her. Be nice, Adrienne reprimanded. The blonde girl, however, just rolled her eyes and waved it off. Whatever. I'm gonna leave now. Sorry, I know you'll all miss me. Looks were tossed around that said, no. No, you're not. But no one was rude enough to actually say it out loud. No, we won't. Well, lead it up to Kagami, to be blunt. Marinette, though, was genuinely surprised by the sheer cutthroatness of the statement, and quite honestly, and silently, agreed. Jealous? Sorry, Dupan Chang 2.0, Chloe said with a laugh. Kagami nearly audibly growled, but Marinette placed a hand on her shoulder, shooting a hard glare at Chloe. Before Adrienne could do anything, though, Chloe pressed a loud kiss on his cheek and left with what she probably thought was a seductive wave. And to say he was left in shock was probably an understatement. Adrienne almost sputtered, and Kagami's hands tightened into a fist. Who does she think she is? Kagami shouted. Most everyone had left. So, Alia, Nino, Marinette, Adrienne, and Julika exchanged looks and collectively shrugged and sighed tiredly. Kagami, just take a breath. Chloe's just the worst, Marinette said. Her voice may have been even, but her tightened smile was telling how she truly felt. Yes. Yes, she is, Kagami snarled and crossed her arms tightly. Girl, I know, but just ignore her. It's really not worth snooping to her level, Alia sighed, folding up the blanket on the ground. Why is she even like that? Kagami snapped at no one. No one cares that much about her. She acts like the world is dependent on her walking into the room. As much as Marinette agreed with the statements, she knew that anger like this was dangerous. Case in point, there was a black butterfly that was flying towards them. Clearly, though, she was the only one to notice, and thus she quickly jumped into action. Kagami, hey! Not that we don't agree, but let's take a breath and calm down, Marinette said in a comforting voice. She grabbed Kagami by the shoulders and began to lead her away from her friends, just in case Kagami did actually get akumatized. I appreciate you worrying about me, but I would rather not, Kagami snapped. Marinette nodded. I get it, and I know, and I understand, and truth be told, I was worried about inviting her too. I knew she'd do something like this. Chloe saying any of that is completely unmerited, but I need you to take a breath. I don't want you getting akumatized, she explained, flickering her eyes to the black butterfly that was making their way towards them. You need a distraction. Tell me what gift you got for Adrienne, Marinette said. The little black butterfly was just, very worryingly. She had to keep everyone calm. Luckily, Adrienne, Alia, Julika, and Nina were talking and laughing, ensuring a nice environment for everyone else. I have noticed that Adrienne tends to slip a lot during fencing practice. Kagami motioned to the gift in Adrienne's hands. I got him a new pair of shoes, that they have better traction, she said. Marinette nodded. Kagami was visibly calming down. What color are they? White. Where'd you get them? I ordered them online. They were anagrammed. Marinette nodded as if the conversation was interesting, which, to be completely honest, it wasn't, but it didn't matter. The slightly boring and surface-level conversation, back-and-forth conversation, didn't attract the Akuma anymore, and it was reclaimed. Marinette noticed the black butterfly heading away, disappearing into the sky, and she smiled and sighed in relief. One less akumatization. The day was definitely good. Marinette and Kagami met back up with Adrienne and Alia and Nino. Marinette and Kagami met back up with Adrienne. Alia and Nino had just left. Adrienne, I'm sorry for ruining your party, Kagami said, bowing her head down low. Adrien shook his head and raised her back up. It's no big deal. Don't beat yourself up over this, he said kindly. She gave him a small smile before her car honked and she had to leave immediately. Thank you for the invitation. Have a wonderful birthday, Kagami said before slipping into the car, and it drove off. You're a miracle. Seriously, you're a miracle, Adrien blurted out. Marinette turned to him surprised. Oh, thanks, Marinette said, her face red. No, I don't even think you know how. You came up with this whole idea, got it all set up. You got Kagami to come, you got me out of the house, which is hard to do, and you stopped an akumatization. You literally saved the day, Adrien said in awe. Marinette felt herself almost go faint from the sheer magnitude of the compliments. As often as she saved the day as Ladybug, it felt different as a normal civilian that was just Marinette. I tried, she offered as they walked up to the black car that just drove up. Thank you for the best day ever, Adrien said as he held onto the door about to get in. Marinette smiled prettily at him. Of course! With a rare bout of courage, she pressed a soft kiss to his cheek that left them both blushing hard and feeling woozy. Even after Adrien had closed the door to his car and pressed his hand to his cheek, trying to remember the feeling of her lips on his skin. Even after Marinette had begun her walk home, they both felt that way. You're a melting sap, Flagon said when Adrien got home with a wild smile and grin on his face. I don't care, Adrien replied. He's lost it, Flag said with a fond smile when Adrien had face planted into his bed. Okay, so maybe I still kind of love him, Marinette finally admitted to her back in her room to Tiki. Maybe, Tiki had said out loud. Oh my god, finally, Tiki said when Marinette had went to go take a shower.